President Trump arrives unexpectedly at West Point, creating a buzz among the cadets. The atmosphere shifts as the cadets are ordered to assemble without explanation. Trump steps out of a convoy of black SUVs, accompanied by Secret Service agents. He surveys the cadets with an intense and readable expression. Cadet Brandon Ellis, one of the cadets, feels a mix of tension and curiosity. Trump locks eyes with him and calls him forward, asking his name and a pointed question, "You ever doubt yourself?" Trump reveals that he's testing the cadets. He selects Brandon and four others for a mission to find and rescue a wounded soldier in a simulated battlefield. Trump designates Brandon as the leader of the group, putting him in charge of the mission. Brandon must lead his team through a series of physical and mental challenges, including smoke, water trenches, and simulated combat zones. Brandon and his team navigate the obstacles, facing moments of doubt and near failure. They eventually locate the wounded soldier and work together to stabilize and transport him back. The team completes the mission just in time, but not without mistakes. Trump acknowledges their effort but hints that the real test is yet to come. Trump walks with Brandon and shares a lesson about leadership, emphasizing that it's not about being perfect, but about stepping up and making decisions, even when unsure. Trump presents Brandon with a final, unexpected challenge, choosing between two sealed envelopes, each with unknown consequences. Brandon must make a decision without knowing the outcome. Brandon stands before the two sealed envelopes, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. He knows that whichever envelope he chooses could have profound consequences, but there's no way of knowing what's inside. With a deep breath, Brandon makes his choice. As he opens the envelope, the contents are revealed. One envelope could contain an offer for a high-profile assignment, one that would push him to prove himself in front of influential figures in the military or government. The other envelope could contain a more personal challenge, such as being sent on a less glamorous but critical mission that tests his integrity, courage, or loyalty, regardless of what's inside the envelope. Trump's final words resonate with Brandon. Leadership is about making choices in the face of uncertainty. There's no perfect path, only the one you forge for yourself. This moment solidifies Brandon's growth, recognizing that leadership involves not just strategic thinking but personal conviction and the courage to act, even without knowing all the answers. As the story concludes, Brandon reflects on his experience, now more certain of his role as a leader. The challenges he faced have transformed him, giving him a deeper understanding of the weight of decisions and the complexities of leadership. Brandon stands before the two sealed envelopes, one red and one blue. The weight of the moment presses down on him as he realizes this is a test of his ability to make a critical decision under pressure. He hesitates, his mind racing, but knows he must choose. After a tense moment, Brandon reaches for one of the envelopes. His hand hovers briefly before he makes his selection, unsure of what lies inside but determined to face the consequences. As he opens the envelope, the contents are revealed. The nature of the challenge or task inside is unexpected, forcing Brandon to confront a new set of obstacles or decisions. The stakes are high, and the outcome will test his leadership in ways he hasn't experienced before. Brandon processes the information, his mind racing to understand the implications. Trump watches closely, his expression unreadable. As Brandon begins to formulate a plan or response, Brandon takes action, stepping into the role of leader once again. He must navigate the new challenge with the same determination and resourcefulness he showed during the earlier mission. The pressure is immense, but he pushes forward, drawing on the lessons he's learned. As the situation unfolds, Brandon reflects on Trump's words about leadership and doubt. He begins to understand that true leadership isn't about being perfect or always knowing the right answer. It's about making decisions and owning the consequences, no matter how uncertain the path. After Brandon makes his choice and Trump offers him a moment of reflection, the cadets are dismissed. But there's an underlying tension that lingers. Brandon can't shake the feeling that Trump is watching him even now, from a distance, perhaps assessing him for something even more significant. Brandon wonders whether this test is just one step in a much larger game. He spends restless nights, thinking about the decision he made, questioning whether he chose correctly. The weight of responsibility feels heavier with every passing hour, and he wonders if he'll regret his choice. The pressure mounts, But he knows he must keep moving forward. There's no room for doubt. Not now. The challenges ahead aren't just physical, they are psychological. The other cadets start to notice Brandon's leadership, some respecting him for his decisiveness, others questioning whether he's truly prepared for the responsibility. Rumors begin to swirl, creating a quiet undercurrent of competition and rivalry. Brandon must not only prove himself to his superiors, but also to those who doubt him. A senior cadet, who has seen the pressure of leadership firsthand, takes notice of Brandon's internal struggle. Instead of offering advice, the cadet tests Brandon through subtle challenges. They don't give him the answers, rather, they force him to find them himself. It's clear that this experience, much like the one Trump initiated, is designed to further push Brandon's development and force him to grow outside his comfort zone. Just as Brandon starts to find his footing, a new cadet arrives, someone with exceptional skills and a natural charisma. This new figure quickly gains attention and admiration from many of the cadets, creating a new layer of competition. At first, Brandon tries to remain focused on his own growth, but the presence of this new cadet tests his sense of security. He starts to question whether his leadership will continue to hold up, especially as this rival's influence grows. The pressure begins to mount as Brandon realizes that leadership isn't just about his own abilities, it's also about navigating the shifting dynamics of his environment. Brandon uncovers that the challenge he's facing is not only about personal growth or proving his worth to others. It has larger implications. The mission he's preparing for, or the next stage in his journey, may have far-reaching consequences. It becomes clear that his leadership isn't just about his immediate circle or the cadets around him. It could influence the lives of many others. This realization deepens his sense of responsibility, and he struggles with the fear of failure. He starts to feel the weight of his choices more than ever before, aware that his actions may define the success or failure of something bigger than himself. Brandon faces a decision that involves a calculated risk. A major obstacle arises, and Brandon must decide whether to take a bold move that could either pay off big or lead to a significant setback. The choice isn't just tactical, it's strategic, forcing him to think several steps ahead. If he chooses the safer option, the mission will proceed with fewer risks, but the outcome may be underwhelming. If he takes the bold route, the potential rewards could be significant, but failure would come with serious consequences. This choice will reveal whether Brandon is willing to take risks for the sake of something greater than himself. A situation emerges that tests Brandon's loyalty to his team versus his loyalty to his own principles. One of his team members, who Brandon has grown to trust, makes a decision that compromises their mission or jeopardizes the safety of the group. Brandon is faced with a dilemma. Does he confront the person and risk fracturing the team, or does he silently accept the mistake to maintain the group's cohesion? This scenario forces him to weigh loyalty against integrity, and his decision may define his leadership style moving forward. The increasing weight of Brandon's leadership begins to take an emotional toll. He finds himself distant from his peers, unable to connect with anyone the way he once did. The responsibilities and pressures start to affect his mental and emotional state, making it harder for him to find clarity. Brandon struggles with the isolation that comes with leadership, the loneliness of making tough decisions and facing challenges no one else fully understands. Brandon's trust in his team is shattered when he discovers that one of his closest allies has been secretly undermining him. This betrayal comes at a critical moment, when Brandon's leadership is already under intense scrutiny. He must now decide how to handle this betrayal, confront the cadet, and risk fracturing the team, or keep the betrayal quiet and find a way to move forward despite it. This situation forces Brandon to examine what trust truly means and whether he can continue leading in an environment where loyalty is increasingly uncertain. The pressure continues to escalate as higher-ranking officers and military officials begin to take notice of Brandon's leadership. With the eyes of his superiors now on him, the stakes of every decision become much higher. Brandon feels both the honor and the burden of this attention, realizing that any misstep could have far-reaching consequences. The mounting expectations cause him to question whether he is truly ready for the responsibilities being placed on him, and he begins to fear that he might let down those who are counting on him. A scenario presents itself where Brandon is offered a shortcut that would guarantee a smoother quicker success, one that bypasses some important ethical standards. It's an option that promises immediate gains but compromises his principles. The temptation is strong, especially as the pressure builds. But Brandon knows that choosing this path could damage his reputation and his sense of self. This is a true test of his integrity, forcing him to weigh personal ambition against the values he's worked hard to uphold. Brandon's internal conflict intensifies as he feels pulled in different directions. On one hand, he has a responsibility to his team and to the mission. On the other, he's beginning to question whether the sacrifices required to be a leader are worth the personal toll. He spends sleepless nights weighing the cost of leadership. Is it worth losing himself in the process? Is there a balance between staying true to his values and fulfilling his duties? This crisis of identity pushes him to search for answers within himself, seeking clarity on who he truly is and what kind of leader he wants to become. A significant loss, whether personal or professional, shakes Brandon to his core. This could be the death of a close comrade, or the failure of a mission that he was intimately tied to. The loss forces him to confront the harsh reality of the world he is part of, making him question whether he has the emotional fortitude to keep going. This moment of grief becomes a crucial turning point in Brandon's journey, compelling him to re-examine his motivations and whether the pursuit of leadership is worth the sacrifices it demands. As Brandon faces the emotional toll of his recent loss and the burden of leadership, he's called to a final challenge, a mission that is unlike any other. This mission will determine not only his career but his sense of self. The stakes are higher than ever, as it involves both the lives of his team and the success of a much larger operation. In this pivotal moment, Trump reappears, having been observing Brandon from afar, and offers him guidance once more. Trump's role in this final challenge isn't just as a figure of authority, but as a mentor. Trump is direct, pushing Brandon to make decisions with confidence, but also to face the painful reality of leadership, that no decision is without consequence, and no one can always succeed. He offers Brandon a choice: take the safe route, one that preserves the current order, or take a bold risk that could change the course of the mission and his future, but carries serious risks. Brandon, now understanding the complexity of leadership better than ever, faces the final test. He reflects on everything he's learned, his internal battles, the weight of his choices, and his newfound understanding of what it means to be a leader. With his team's trust and the mission at stake, Brandon makes his decision. He chooses the bold path, risking everything for a chance at success that might benefit not just his career, but the lives of many others. It's a decision rooted in the lessons he's learned from Trump. Leadership is about taking risks, confronting doubts, and standing by your decisions even when the outcome is uncertain. Brandon's decision leads to a hard-won victory, though not without cost. The mission succeeds, but not without sacrifices, both personal and professional. The sense of loss still lingers, but Brandon now understands the true nature of leadership. He has earned respect, not through flawless victories, but through the courage to make difficult choices, accept failure when necessary, and learn from the experience. Trump's role in this final stage is pivotal. He isn't there to rescue Brandon, but to teach him that leadership is about learning through struggle. In the final moments, Trump acknowledges Brandon's growth. Trump's influence, though indirect in the final stages, has shaped Brandon into someone who can navigate both the strategic and personal aspects of leadership. The story ends with Brandon moving forward, ready for the next challenge, but with a deeper understanding of himself and the path he's choose. In the end, Trump's role wasn't to give Brandon all the answers, but to push him to become a leader in his own right. Someone who could make difficult decisions, bear the consequences, and continue to grow from each experience. The story closes not with a clear resolution, but with Brandon now equipped to face whatever lies ahead, having learned that leadership is a constant evolution, shaped by choices, growth, and the ability to face adversity with integrity.